people here.
We are taking you live to Melbourne now. The opposition leader Peter Dutton is speaking there at a news conference.
Obviously, the government's had a shambles of a week. The Prime Minister and the Treasurer are at war with each other. You saw a real insight into the thinking of Australia's Treasurer on the Sunrise program in the Today Show yesterday. He let the cat out of the bag. I mean, obviously for months, presumably since they've been elected, the government's been working on these new taxes, not just on superannuation, but on negative gearing on the family home, at a time when families are seeing an increase in the pressures on their own household budgets and in their own small business budgets, because the decisions Labor's made have forced up inflation, which have made your mortgages even higher than they should be. And the government should be, frankly, working on plans that help relieve some of the pressure. Don't forget that the Prime Minister went to the last election promising on 97 occasions that he would reduce your power bill by $275. He's never mentioned that figure once since he was elected last May. The Prime Minister went to the election saying that he would have no changes to your superannuation, and now it turns out that the government's got a secret hit list of how they can take money out of your superannuation fund and allocate your money to other projects, including buying somebody else a house, but not allowing you to use your superannuation fund to provide a roof for you and your family. And I think the government's clearly got its priorities wrong. This is a Prime Minister who I think provided a level of reassurance to Australians, frankly, at the last election. He said to them that he had a plan to help them with cost of living pressures, to bring them down. Cost of living pressures have only got more and more expensive under this government. He promised that he would bring mortgage rates down, and on 8 occasions that the Reserve Bank has met since Labor was elected, interest rates have gone up on 8 occasions, and they're projected to go up even further. The Prime Minister promised, and I think Australians believed him, that they had no plans to change superannuation or to tax the family home or to change the taxation arrangements. He looked the Australian public in the eye and said that he had no such plans. As it turns out, the government's been working on those plans from the first day they were elected. And in Aston here, at the October budget, the first decision the Labor Party took was to rip funding out of Aston, out of those important infrastructure projects. There's a budget coming up in May, and we note that Catherine King yesterday, the Minister, confirmed that the government will not even consider putting funds into infrastructure projects here in Aston. So I think Australians are rightly starting to question the Prime Minister, his sincerity. They got a glimpse into the real Jim Chalmers yesterday. Jim Chalmers was rushed back out a couple of hours later to try and tidy up the mess, obviously at the Prime Minister's urging. And it seems today that the Treasurer's gone to ground. He's not up answering the questions, not providing responses to the questions that need to be answered. There's speculation even in relation to the superannuation now that the tax could be applied to unrealised capital gains. So people paying tax in their super, even though you haven't sold an asset and made a profit. And if that's part of the government's plan, they need to rule it out immediately, because people can't afford to pay taxes on profits they haven't even realised. That would be an extra disaster on top of the shambles that the government's presided over this week.